Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Now today we are going to do our next chapter, that is Jainism, in the series of ancient history through 500 MCQs. Now prior to this chapter we have already completed our 4 chapters. So if you haven't watched those videos, you can go to the playlist section on the channel and you can watch those 3 videos first, those 4 videos first, and then you can continue with this Jainism chapter. So let us start our today's chapter. We are going to solve MCQ and I am also going to give you the conceptual information which is going to help you revise these topics with utmost accuracy. Now, talking about Jainism, it is believed that there were 24th Jain Tirthankars. The first one is popularly known as Rishabhdev. He was also known as Dadinath. 23rd Tirthankar was Parshavnath and 24th Tirthankar was Mahavira, and Mahavira was also the last Tirthankar. Okay, now talking about Rishabhdeva, and there was another Tirthankar whose name was Arishtanemi. Now these two are considered, and these two are specifically mentioned in the Rig Veda. ये आपको पता होना चाहिए. These types of question can be asked in the UPSC examination. Now, next important thing is about the 23rd and the 24th Tirthankar. Now, Parshavnath, he propounded 4 teachings. Parshavnath propounded 4 teachings, and at a later stage, Mahavira added 1 more teaching. So, total Jainism mein it is considered that 5 main teachings were there. Now, talking about these 4 teachings, so सबसे पहली थी अहिंसा. Second one was Satya, that is you should not lie. The third one was Asteya, that you should not steal. And the fourth one was Aparigrah. This means you should not possess the things you don't own. ठीक है? The 5th teaching of Brahmacharya, it was added by Mahavira. So let us start with this. Let us start with the chapter, and in the chronological sequence we will solve the questions. Now, who was the 23rd Tirthankar of Jainism? Now, just right now I talked about Parshavnath. He was the 23rd Tirthankar. Now, another important point जहाँ से questions आ सकते हैं is the symbol associated with the specific Tirthankar. Now, Rishabhdev was associated with the symbol of bull. Ajitnath was associated with the symbol of elephant. Parshavnath was associated with the symbol of serpent. Mahavir was associated with lion. Now, Mahavir, Parshavnath, and one more, that is Mallinath. These 3 are very much important. यहाँ से बहुत questions पहले आ चुके हैं. Talking about Mallinath, now मल्लीनाथ का जो सिंबल था, इनका सिंबल था वाटर पॉट. ठीक है, एंड बाकी जितने भी यहाँ पे सिंबल्स थे, दिस आई हैव ऑलरेडी टोल्ड यू. ऋषभदेव वाज फर्स्ट, अजीतनाथ वाज सेकंड, एंड महावीर वाज द 24th तीर्थंकर. नाउ नेक्स्ट इज महावीरा. नाउ लेट अस टॉक अबाउट महावीरा हियर. नाउ महावीर इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट एंड क्वेश्चंस यहाँ से आते हैं. सो talking about Mahavir, Mahavir was born in Kundgra, which is situated in Vaishali, present day Bihar. Now his father's name was Siddhartha and his mother's name was Trishla. Okay. Now an important point for you to know is Mahavir was also related to Bimbisar. Okay. Next important thing was that Mahavir attained Kaivalya at the banks of Rijupalika river. He was called Kevalin, that is perfectly learned. Jina, one who conquered his senses. Nirigrantha, that is he is free from all the bonds. Arhant, that he is the blessed one. And Mahavira, that he is brave. All these names are very much important. ये UPSC के एग्जाम में पूछ सकते हैं, because these terms वो UPSC is often fond of asking the terms. Okay, so Kevalin, Jina, Nrigrantha, Arhant, and Mahavir. These are the names associated with Mahavir only. Okay, Now, another important thing that Mahavira was accompanied by Mahakali Ghosh. महाकली घोष या महाकली गोसाल इनको बुलाया जाता था. Now, at a later time, Mahavir, Mahakali Ghosh, they both had some differences, and due to that, Mahakali founded the Ajivika sect. He founded the Ajivika sect. ये क्वेश्चन इंपॉर्टेंट है, ये पूछा जाता है आपसे. Who was the founder of Ajivika sect? So Mahakali Ghosh was the founder. Again, talking about Mahavir delivered his first sermon at Pava. Now, बुद्धिज्म के लेक्चर में मैंने आपको ये रिवाइज करवाया था कि बुद्धा ने फर्स्ट sermon कहाँ दिया था. Now, आपको मुझे बताना है in the comment section where did Buddha gave his first sermon. But I'm going to tell you that this first sermon was known as Dharma Chakra Pravartan, and the symbol of this was a wheel. ठीक है, turning the wheel it was called. So at which place Buddha gave his first sermon, ये आप मुझे comment section में बताना. Okay. Now, this is about Mahavir. Important points सारे मैंने बता दिए आपको. So let us now focus on the questions. Now, where was Mahavir born? So Mahavir was born in Kundagram. Now, Pavapuri, अभी हमने देखा first sermon he gave at Pavapuri. Lumbini is not associated with Mahavir. Lumbini is believed to be birthplace of Buddha. And Sarnath, so ये आप मुझे बताना comment section में, how is Sarnath related to Buddha? Next is, which vow was added by Mahavir to the 4 vows of Parshavnath? Now, मैंने आपको already बताया था 4 vows जो थे पार्श्वनाथ के, these were Ahimsa, that is non-injury, Satya, that is non-lying, another one was Asteya, that is non-stealing, and the 4th one was Aparigraha, that is non-possession. Now, these 4 vows were of the Parshavnath. At a later stage, Mahavira, who was also the 23rd Tirthankar, he added the 4th vow, that was Brahmacharya. ठीक है. Now, यहाँ पे एक चीज ध्यान रखना, जो मैंने आपको प्लेस बताई थी, पावा में he delivered the first sermon, and Pavapuri is the place where Mahavir died. Okay, so ये ध्यान में रखना, कंफ्यूज मत होना, क्योंकि मैं अभी हुआ था इस वजह, इसलिए मैं बता रहा हूँ आपको. ठीक है. ब्रह्मचर्य, C is the correct answer. Brahmacharya was added by Mahavir. Next is the Jain philosophy. Syadvad is also known as what? Now, talking about the Jain philosophy, so Jain philosophy famously Syadvad के नाम से it is known. Now, Syadvad is nothing but a 7 mode of prediction. It is also known as Saptabhangi Naya. So Saptabhangi Naya or Syadvad, both are the name of the same doctrine. Now, what does it mean? It means that all our judgments are necessarily relative, conditional and limited. Whatever judgment we make, it depends on something, and it is limited. It is not the ultimate truth. Okay, there are 7 modes of prediction, that is known as Saptabhangi Naya. ठीक है, 7 mode of predictions are possible, and absolute affirmation to anything और absolute negation, मतलब किसी चीज को absolutely confirm करना या किसी चीज को absolutely नकार देना और इसको negate कर देना, both the things are absolutely wrong. All the judgments are conditional. Okay, this is the main theory of Syadvad. Now, यहाँ पे पूछा है, the Jain philosophy Syadvad is also known as, so it is also known as Anekantavada. Okay, it is also known as Anekantavada, that is the theory of plurality. It means neither the affirmation is correct nor the negation is absolutely correct. All of the things are conditional. So this is the thing. शून्यवाद के बारे में बात करें, शून्यवाद and विजयानवाद, these are the Buddhist philosophy, whereas Advaitvad is the Vedantic philosophy. Okay, now यहाँ पे मैं important आपको एक चीज बताना चाहता हूँ. The principle of Jainism which were preached by Mahavir. What did Mahavir derive from this Jainism, or what did he give to Jainism? सबसे पहला तो ये था कि both Buddha as well as Mahavir, both of them denied and rejected the authorities of Vedas and the Vedic rituals. So both the Vedas as well as the Vedic rituals were denied by Mahavir and Buddha. Next important thing, that Mahavir did not believe in the existence of God. Another important thing is Mahavir believed in the law of karma and the transmigration of soul. Now, what is transmigration of soul? Transmigration of soul. Now this means that the soul is transferred from one janam to another janam. पुनर्जन्म जिसको बोलते हैं ना. So this is what is known as transmigration of soul. Okay, and also Mahavir laid emphasis on the equality. So this was what Mahavir believed to be true. ठीक है. Now next is, who was the first disciple of Mahavir? Jamali is the correct answer. Jamali was the first disciple of Mahavir. नेक्स्ट इज स्थूलभद्र, भद्रबाहु एंड महाकली घोष. महाकली घोष के बारे में मैंने आपको बता दिया था कि ही इज ऑल्सो नोन एज द फाउंडर ऑफ द आजीविका सेक्ट. ही इज द फाउंडर ऑफ द आजीविका सेक्ट. नाउ टू important sects of Jainism were the Shvetambars and Digambars. Let me give you a brief idea about these two. Now what happened, there is a slight story about this. So what happened in around 300 BC was, there was a serious famine and drought like situation in the Magad region. Okay, now this famine and drought led to exodus of many of the Jain monks, and it led to exodus of many Jain people to the Deccan area in the south. Now जैसे ही famine हुआ, some of the people believed that it is not right to live here now, so they all wanted to migrate to Deccan and the southern region of India. Now there was one sect, or there was one group who wanted to live in Magad only, and there was another, or the second group, who wanted to migrate to the Deccan area. Now अब साउथ में कहाँ जाना था उनको? तो साउथ में जाना था श्रवण बेलागांव. Okay, now those who went to the Deccan area, that is the Shravan Belagaon, and those were led by Bhadrabahu. Those were led by Bhadrabahu and Chandragupta Maurya, who was also the founder of Maurya Empire in India. Okay, now those who migrated to south were the Bhadrabahus, and those who remained in the Magad region only, they were under the leadership of Sthulbhadra. So these are the two names that are very much important. Now Sthulbhadra led the group which remained in Magad region only, and they were known as Shvetambars because they used to wear white clothes. Next is Bhadrabahu, those who went to Shravan Belagaon, that is the southern India. These returned to the Magad region, and these were naked. Okay, they did not use to wear any clothes. So these were known as Digambars. They believed that being complete nudity is an essential part of the teachings of Mahavira. Okay, now these were the two sects of Jainism, and this is an important thing. यहाँ से questions पूछे जाते हैं. Now Mahakali Ghosh, as I have told you, was the founder of Ajivika sect. So Jamali was the first disciple of Mahavir, who was also the Mahavir's son-in-law and became his first disciple. Sthulbhadra led the Shvetambars, Bhadrabahu led the Digambars, and Mahakali Ghosh founded the Ajivika sect. Now, the sacred literature of the Shvetambars is written in which language? Now, before doing this question, let me give you a brief idea about the Jaina literature. Okay, Jaina literature के बारे में थोड़ा सा discussion कर लेते हैं. Now talking about the Jaina literature, now basically the literature of the Shvetambar sect, this was written in a type of Prakrit which was known as Ardhamagadi. It was known as Ardha Magdhi Prakrit. And it can be and it was basically divided into 12 angas. So these angas were the main Jaina literature. Next important thing was 12 upangas. Next was 10 parikranas, 6 Cheda Sutras. This I have written here only. Okay, don't worry. 12 angas were there, 12 upangas, 10 parikranas, 6 Cheda Sutras, 4 Mool Sutras, and 2 Sutra Granthas. This was the basic Jaina literature that basically belonged to the Shvetambara sect, and it was written in the Ardha Magdhi Prakrit. Okay, now 12 Purvas was also there. Now these 12 Purvas were the part of the 12 Angas, and this 12 Angas are the most important Jaina text, as I have told you, and it basically focused on the Mahavir's preaching. So this is an important thing here. Now other than these literatures, there are important Jaina texts such as Kalpa Sutras. These are the Kalpa Sutras. These were written in Sanskrit, and who was the writer of these Kalpa Sutras? It was Bhadrabahu. So because he was also the founder of the Digambara text, so this Kalpa Sutras becomes important. ये क्वेश्चन पूछ सकते हैं आपसे. Okay. Now another important person was Hemachandra. Now Hemachandra important book was Parishtha Parvan and Bhadrabahu Charita. These were the two important books of Hemachandra. Okay. So this is all you need to know about the Jaina literature. Now the sacred literature of Shvetambars was written in the Ardha Magdhi Prakrit. संस्कृत में क्या लिखा था? संस्कृत में कल्प सूत्रस वेयर देयर. अभी हमने देखा. Pali was basically the language that was used by the Buddhists. So this again is important. Now Tamil की मैं बात करूं तो Tamil is not at all related to anything. Also Sanskrit जो थी, that was used by the Mahayana Buddhism. तो ये भी आपको पता होना चाहिए यहाँ पे. Next is, where was the first Jain council held? Now, अब talking about these Jain councils, another important question, यहाँ से question आ सकता है. Now, basically, जैसे Buddhism में we have discussed that there were 4 Jain councils. Like that only, Jain council की अगर मैं बात करूँ, so basically 2 Jain council थी. First one happened in Pataliputra, and Sthulabhadra was the chairman of this Jaina council, and Chandragupta Maurya was the ruler at that time. Now, compilation of 12 Angas was also there. What happened? What was the outcome of the first Jain council? So, compilation of 12 Angas happened in the first Jain council in Pataliputra. The second one happened in Vallabhi, Gujarat, and Devvardhi Kshasramana was the chairman of this, and in the second Jain council held at Vallabhi, final compilation of 12 Angas and 12 Upangas also happened. Okay. Now, next thing. Who is the author of Kalpa Sutra? Now, I already told you it was written by Bhadrabahu. Hemachandra wrote Paristhiti Parvana, and in addition to that, Bhadrabahu Charita was also written by him only. Stulbhadra, there is no book that is related to Stulbhadra. Amogh Varsha was a royal patron of Jainism. ठीक है. So कौन कौन रॉयल पैट्रॉन्स थे ये भी हम डिस्कस करेंगे आने वाले क्वेश्चन में. सो जस्ट वेट फॉर दैट पार्ट. अभी के लिए Bhadrabahu is the correct answer. Next is the famous statue of Gomateshwar Bahubali is located at. Now this question is particularly related to the Jaina architecture. Now, the statue is situated in Shravanbela. Now, by the name Shravanbela, you need to remember that this was a place where Bhadrabahu led a group of Jain monks who were witnessing a very serious famine in the Magad area, and it was then during this famine only that one group they migrated to the Deccan area, which was led by Bhadrabahu, and the place where they went was Shravanbela Gaon. On the other hand, Stulbhadra led some of the monks that remained in the Magad area only. Okay, they both of these they led to the establishment of the Digambar as well as the Shwetambar sect. The Digambar sect were led by Bhadrabahu and the Shwetambars were led by Sthulbhadra. ठीक है, समझ आ गया? Now, some of the other examples of Jaina architectures, these are the Gumphas. या आपको क्वेश्चन ऐसे भी पूछ सकते हैं. Gumphas are also known as, so this is the other name of the caves. So various caves are related to the Jaina religion. First one is the Hathi Gumpha, Udayagiri, then there is Baga Gumpha, then there is Khandagiri. All of these are in the Odisha region. Next are the series of Dilwara temples. This Dilwara temples में विमल वासिही टेम्पल एंड तेजपाल टेम्पल विच इज़ देयर इन माउंट आबू. आपको पता भी होगा माउंट आबू इज़ अ वेरी फेमस प्लेस दैट इज़ एसोसिएटेड विद द जैना कल्चर. ठीक है, सो दिलवारा temples are also an example of the Jaina architecture. Then the temples at Girnar and Palitana, which is situated in Gujarat. And ये Girnar, this is also a UPSC PYQ. The UPSC has asked such a question that Girnar एक तो प्लेस दे दिया था एंड इनका स्टेट दे दिया था कि विच स्टेट में इट वॉज सिचुएटेड. सो गिरनार वॉज देयर इन द गुजरात एंड इट इज सिचुएटेड अराउंड द गिरनार हिल्स. एंड गिरनार रीजन के पास ही गिर नेशनल पार्क है, द ओनली प्लेस वेयर द एशियाटिक लायंस आर फाउंड. ठीक है, समझ आ गया? इन एडिशन टू दीज थ्री आर्किटेक्चरल्स देयर इज द स्टैचू ऑफ गोमतेश्वर और बाहुबली इन द श्रवणबेला गांव. एक ये चीज़ आप ध्यान में रखना, इट इज़ इम्पॉर्टेंट फॉर यू. नो पावापुरी जो ऑप्शंस है, पावापुरी इज अ टेम्पल साइट इन बिहार, पालिताना इज इन अगेन in Gujarat. Next question is the sect of Jainism that wears white clothes is called. Now, as I told you, there are basically two sects of Jainism. The first one are the Shwetambars and the another one are Digambars. Digambars are those who are believed to be naked. They do not wear any clothes. Whereas Shwetambar, Shwet means white. So यहाँ से भी you can derive this that Shwetambars are the people who are the monks who wear the white clothes. Hinayana sect, this is related to Buddhism only, and Vajrayana, this is also related to Buddhism only. Again, if you haven't watched the lecture of Buddhism, I would recommend you कि आप पहले Buddhism का lecture देखो, उसके बाद आप इस chapter को देखना for better understanding. Now, next is which river bank did Mahavir attain Kaivalya, that is supreme knowledge on? This I have already told you. It was on the Rijupalika river. Okay, Niranjana river is on the banks. Gaya is on the banks of Niranjana river, and it is here that under a Bodhi tree, the Buddha attained supreme knowledge or enlightenment. Okay, so Niranjana is associated with Gautam Buddha, whereas Rijupalika is related to Mahavir, the 24th Tirthankara of Jaina culture. Okay, Jaina religion. Now next is which of the following is not one of the Triratna of Jainism? Now here I have told you a particular thing. Now this thing was about the Triratna of the Jainism as well as Buddhism के चैप्टर में मैंने आपको बताया था Triratna of Buddhism. Now Buddhism के Triratna कौन थे? एक तो था बुद्ध, second was the Dham, third was the Sangh. This was the Triratna of Buddhism. And अगर मैं त्रिपिटका की बात करूँ in Buddhism, this was the Sutta Pitaka, another one was Vinay Pitaka, and the third one was Abhidhamma Pitaka. Just like the Triratnas in Buddhism, there were Triratnas of Jainism also. सो क्वेश्चन में हमसे पूछा है कि विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग इज नॉट द त्रिरत्न ऑफ जैनिज्म. ओके, नाउ देयर आर थ्री त्रिरत्नास. सबसे पहले तो है सम्यक श्रद्धा और द राइट फेथ. सेकेंड वन वॉज सम्यक ज्ञान, दैट इज द राइट नॉलेज. थर्ड वन वॉज सम्यक कर्मा, दैट इज द राइट एक्शन. ओके, नाउ right faith is a triratna, right knowledge is a triratna, right action is a triratna, but right speech is not. So D is going to be the correct answer because question में हमसे पूछा है which of the following is not a triratna. ठीक है. Right speech is a part of Buddhism eightfolded path, which is also known as the Ashtangic path. Okay. Next question देखते हैं. Who was the last Tirthankar? Now I have told you 24 Tirthankar there were there. First was Rishabhdev, 23rd was Parshavnath, ठीक है, and 24th was Mahavira. Parshavnath was related to Varanasi, this you need to know. And एक important चीज और, 4 elements were propounded by Parshavnath, whereas Mahavir added one more, that was Brahmacharya. And total Jain vows became 5. 5 vows बन गए थे, इसके पहले 4 थे which were propounded by Parshavnath. And Mahavir was obviously the 24th Tirthankar. Arishtanemi was the 22nd Tirthankar. एक और फैक्ट आपको पता होना चाहिए, that Rishabh plus Arishtanemi, both of these names are mentioned in the Rig Veda. And Rig Veda is the oldest Veda, so this you need to know. नेक्स्ट इज वन ऑफ द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट, जहाँ से मुझे लगता है कि मेजोरिटी ऑफ द क्वेश्चंस कैन बी आस्क्ड इन द जैनिज्म एंड पूछे भी जाते रहे इस टॉपिक से, दैट व्हाट इज द सिंबल ऑफ द तीर्थंकार महावीरा. नाउ आई हैव मेंशनड हियर द 7 तीर्थंकार्स, एंड अगर 7 के बारे में आपको पता है तो यू कैन ईजिली सॉल्व द क्वेश्चन बाय एलिमिनेटिंग द अदर्स. नाउ ऋषभदेव हु वाज द फर्स्ट तीर्थंकार, द सिंबल वाज बुल. अजीतनाथ, the symbol was elephant. Vasupujya, the symbol was buffalo. Mallinath, the symbol was water jug. Neminath, the symbol was blue lotus. Parshavnath, the symbol was serpent. Mahavira, the symbol was lion. Now this table you need to revise again and again. This is very very important. यहाँ से आपसे क्वेश्चन पूछ सकते हैं, ठीक है. महावीर का हमसे तीर्थंक यहाँ पे सिंबल इट इज आस्किंग, सो द सिंबल दैट इज एसोसिएटेड विथ महावीर इज लायन. ओके, नाउ बुल हमने देखा यहाँ पे, इट इज एसोसिएटेड विथ ऋषभदेव. सर्पेंट इज एसोसिएटेड विथ पार्श्वनाथ एंड एलिफेंट इज एसोसिएटेड विथ अजीतनाथ. I hope the things are clear. This is very very important. I hope you will learn this as soon as possible. Now next is, which ruling dynasty was the last great patron of Jainism? This is another important question, which these types of question are generally asked in the UPSC examination. Okay, now let me tell you in brief about the royal patrons of the Jainism. Now I have divided it into 2 parts, the patrons in North India whereas the patrons in South India. Now in the North India the Jainism was followed by Nandas, and Nandas dynasty के सबसे फेमस रूलर थे महापद्मनंद, एंड ही वाज आल्सो द फाउंडर ऑफ द नंद डायनेस्टी. ओके, लास्ट रूलर वाज धनानंद, एंड धनानंद वाज डिफीटेड बाय चंद्रगुप्त मौर्य. ओके, तो ये भी आपको ध्यान में रखना है. इन एडिशन टू दैट हरियंका डायनेस्टी वाज देयर, सो बिंबिसार, अजातशत्रु एंड उदयन, दीज 3 वेर आल्सो द रॉयल पैट्रॉन्स ऑफ जैनिज्म. In addition to these 3, Chandragupta Maurya, who founded the Mauryan dynasty, and Bindusar and Samprati. These 3 leaders were of the Mauryan Empire, and these 3 also followed the Jainism only. Now this royal patrons were in the North India. सबसे पहले तो नंदास थे, हरियंकास थे, चंद्रगुप्त मौर्य. सो बेसिकली अगर डायनेस्टी पूछा जाए आपसे तो वहाँ पे नंदा डायनेस्टी वाज आल्सो द पैट्रन, हरियंका डायनेस्टी वाज आल्सो द पैट्रन, whereas some rulers of the Maurya dynasty were also the patrons of Jainism. Now talking about the southern India, now Ganga dynasty in South India, Kadamba dynasty, Amogha who was a Rashtrakuta ruler, and Chalukyas and Solankis, these were the final and the last great patrons in the southern India and the patrons of जैनिज्म। ठीक है, सो क्वेश्चन हमसे यहाँ पे इसने पूछा है कि विच रूलिंग डायनेस्टी वाज द लास्ट ग्रेट पैट्रन ऑफ जैनिज्म? सो दीज वेर ऑब्वियसली द चालुक्याज एंड द सोलंकी। नाउ सी, अब हमारा जैनिज्म यहाँ पे तो फिनिश हो चुका है। नाउ इन जनरल, अब मैंने जो पिछले 3 चैप्टर्स आपको करवाए हैं, इनके कुछ रिविजन्स क्वेश्चन है, इसको 2 मिनट में हम देख लेते हैं। 10 क्वेश्चन हैं, ताकि ये आपका जितना भी था मौर्यन एम्पायर से पहले के पीरियड का, वो अच्छे से रिवाइज हो जाए। Now, who was the first foreign invader to penetrate northwest India in 518 BC? Now, it was Darius I. Now, महाजनपदा के चैप्टर में देयर वेयर अ सेक्शन ऑफ फॉरेन इन्वेजन्स, वहाँ पे मैंने बताया था कि द फर्स्ट फॉरेन इन्वेडर टू पेनिट्रेट नॉर्थ वेस्ट इंडिया वॉज डेरियस वन। ठीक है, सो डेरियस वन इज द करेक्ट आंसर। Alexander at a later time invaded, and Alexander defeated Porus on the banks of river Jhelum, which was also known as the Hydaspes river. Okay, next is Alexander died at which place in 323 BC? So Babylon. Next is the Kharosti script introduced in India by the Iranian scripts was written. It was written from right to left. Important है because at a later times we will see the inscriptions of Ashoka. Most of the inscription that were there in the northwestern part of the Indian subcontinent, most of these were written in the Kharosti script only, and this was written to from left to right, right to left. Next is the second Buddhist council was convened during the reign of which king? So first was during Ajashatru, second was during Kalashoka, third Buddhist council was during Ashoka, and fourth one was Kanishka. So if you haven't watched the Buddhism chapter yet, I would recommend you to watch that chapter first. ठीक है, now next देखते हैं, which Jain Tirthankar is described as an incarnation of Narayan in the Vishnu Puran? Now this was Rishabhdev, and this is an important, unique factor that I have added. Okay, Rishabhdeva is described as an incarnation of Narayan in the Vishnu Puran. Now, what was the capital of Malla Mahajanpad? So, I have already told you, Malla Mahajanpad was the place where the Buddha achieved the Mahaparinivarna, or the death of Buddha is associated with the Malla Republic. Now, the capital of Malla Republic was Kushinagar and Pava. Okay. Now, this is important because this is associated with Buddhism as well as the Jainism. So, B is the correct answer, and Mahajanpada के chapter में I have explained this. वाराणसी का कैपिटल वॉज काशी, इंद्रप्रस्थ का कैपिटल वॉज कोरो, विराटनगर का कैपिटल वॉज मत्स्य. नाउ बेडी घोष वॉज रिप्लेस्ड बाय धम्म घोष अंडर विच किंग? सो अंडर अशोका, ये मैं बताऊंगा आपको. ठीक है, नेक्स्ट इज हु फाउंडेड द आजीविका सेक्ट? सो ये हमने ऑलरेडी देखा था, महाखली घोष फाउंडेड द आजीविका सेक्ट. ठीक है, जमाली वॉज क्या कहते हैं, अ स्टूडेंट ऑफ महावीर. भद्रबाहु फाउंडेड द दिगंबर सेक्ट इन जैनिज्म. स्थूलभद्र फाउंडेड द श्वेतांबर सेक्ट इन जैनिज्म. क्लियर है? नेक्स्ट इज व्हाट वाज द रिजल्ट ऑफ द फर्स्ट बुद्धिस्ट काउंसिल? सो द 3 पिताकास दैट वेयर देयर, इनको कंपाइल किया गया था. सो कंपाइलेशन ऑफ सुत्त एंड विनय पिताकास हैपेंड. Compilation of Abhidhamma Pitaka, this happened in the 3rd Buddhist Council, and Mahayana and Hinayan, both of these branches of Buddhism, this was divided in the 4th Buddhist Council, which was done under the patronage of Kanishka. Clear है? Next देखते हैं, which is of the following represents the Nirvana या Sambodhi of Buddha? It is the Bodhi tree. Okay, what does this lotus? This lotus represents the birth. The wheel represents the first sermon, that was the Dharma Chakra Pravartan, and ये कहाँ पे हुआ था? ये सारनाथ में हुआ था. And stupa is related to the death of Buddha. Okay, done है. So with this we have also revised some of the important questions. Additional 3 to 4 minutes में आपका revision हो गया होगा. So we are done with this chapter. in the next class we are going to start from the modern period. Now अगर ये वीडियो आपने यहाँ तक देखी है and if you have liked this video, do give this video a like. You can subscribe to the channel if you want, if you find the content helpful. So thank you for watching this video and keep studying.